Welcome to the Bioptimizers Awesome Health Podcast. And now, here's your host, Wade T. Lightheart.
Want awesome health? How about doubling your energy? With our free Awesome Health course, you can get a new video and lesson every single day for 84 straight days. The course covers everything from optimizing your digestion, nutrient intake, correct health issues, including weight, skin, energy, immune system, and so much more. The course could easily be worth $200 or $300 for, and yet it's 100% free when you go to bioptimizer.com. That's bioptimizers.com. Once you're there, just enter your name and email to get the first 3 phases of the Bioptimization report. You'll get the report immediately and begin getting your video lessons each and every day from there on in.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are. It's Wade T. Lightheart for the Awesome Health Podcast. And I am so pumped and excited today because we have Dr. Nick Berry, and he is an essential oil wizard. And you know how I love to comb the globe to find some wizards out there, and he truly is. In fact, recently, we're going to talk today about therapeutic formulas. We're going to talk about his new ultrasonic extract tinctures, what all that's about, plus some of the things he does with custom formulations. And basically, Dr. Nick he's a holistic pharmacist. He's a plant enthusiast, and of course, he's the founder of Essential Oil Wizardry. We'll talk about how you get there in a little minute. And he's got a passion for plant medicine, and it's expressed through his craft. He has over 300 different botanical extracts. Wow, that's a crazy amount. Now, the bottom line is I actually had heard about Dr. Nick through so many different sources. Everybody, kind of raved about his products and what he was doing. And then recently, I was hanging out with Paul Chek a couple months ago, and we started using some of his super powerful essential oils. And when you take these things, it's like, you talk about a somatic effect. It's like, whoa. And I remember Paul gave me some, and I was like, whoa, what is this stuff? And he says, man, this is my buddy, Dr. Nick. You got to check this stuff out. What's really cool about Dr. Nick is all his extractions are sourced directly from the farmers, distillers, and small collectives. And again, he's been doing this for a long time, and he's got a lot of different areas. It's not just a one-stop shop. So there's kind of the more traditional therapeutic applications. There's some of the more spiritual applications, and there's customized blends. He's really a one-stop shop for anything about essential oils. And so we've brought him onto the podcast today because I've been a big fan of essential oils. And by all means, Dr. Nick is the wizard of Oz, as in Oz. This is amazing. So, hey, welcome to the show.
Oh, it's such a pleasure, Wade. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, it's great to be here. And I know you know so much about essential oils, but how did you get started in this area? Like, what got you into it, and how did you, this whole journey to kind of take you where you are today?
Yeah, well, it's definitely been a fun journey of listening to the moment and taking opportunities as they come and really following my heart. And so I graduated pharmacy school in 2009 with my doctorate and became a licensed pharmacist. And after a year of traveling and keeping an open heart and an open mind, I was really into anything that could really help people with the recovery process of different disease states and sufferings that we as humans experience. And I found myself attracted to the cannabis industry and was one of the first pharmacists to do consulting at cannabis clinics to kind of advise about specific strains, coordinating with their different terpene and cannabinoid profiles, what might be best therapeutically for individual patients. And so that is really what opened me to working with botanicals on a deeper level. And when I started learning more about terpenes, that's what brought me to the oils, because terpenes are pharmacologically active molecules which are responsible for flavor and fragrance. And they're found everywhere in nature in all types of plants. And so really diving into the world of cannabis for a few years, what it did was it opened my eyes to the world of plants, and I realized that I was onto something really, really novel.
That's great. And then at somewhere you started this company, right? So what happened there?
Yeah, so I dove into the world of essential oils, and I was just exploring and playing with them for myself. And for some of our clients, I would start making custom formulations where I would add different essential oils with other hemp oils for topical application. And I was experimenting with the essential oils, different applications, everything from topical application, diffusing, vaporizing, and I was finding really interesting things. So, example of that was when I had graduated pharmacy school, I had recurring respiratory infections. There was a few years that I had pneumonia that had developed. In the first 2 years, I used pharmaceutical drugs for my recovery. And so lots of my teachings came from mentors, and also studying on PubMed to look at pharmacologically how individual constituents found in these plants were working, so I could then deduce what types of plants might have different therapeutic effects. And so I recall this third winter in a row when I had a gnarly respiratory infection. It had been about 2 weeks after I started experiencing symptoms, and it was just getting worse. And at the time in my life, I was definitely very experimental, and I was just researching about carvacrol. And carvacrol is a phenol, and it has really powerful anti-infective properties. In fact, it can kill MRSA at very low concentrations. And so I looked at this bottle of oregano and an essential oil vaporizer right after a coughing bout. And I said, well, if oregano can kill MRSA, I'm sure it could kill whatever's growing in my lungs right now. And so I looked over at the table, and I put a drop into my essential oil vaporizer, and I heated it up, and I took an inhalation. And I started coughing, and I was coughing very strongly because oregano is a strong dermal irritant. And
it's intense.
I'm definitely not suggesting this for anyone. And it's absolutely, it worked really well for me because I started coughing up all this yellow and green sputum, and had coughing bouts for anywhere between about 5 to 15 minutes over the next 2 days, where I did this process about 5 or 6 times, 5 or 6 individual sessions, vaporizing the oil of oregano. And by the end of that 48-hour period, I was what I would say about 60 to 70% back to my baseline. And knowing over previous years when I was taking different pharmaceuticals, I would start experiencing maybe 20 to 30% recovery in about 6 or 7 days. And so it was really wild that after my first set of inhalations, I was feeling about 10 to 15% better, and I felt euphoric, and I felt like there was more space in my lungs, and like I could breathe after the irritation of my throat and my lungs kind of calmed down. And so this is really early on of my internal reflections of the potency of plants. And so what I did was I shared that gospel of the plants, and I went to, I spoke at different conferences and events, and I also went to different festivals, and I shared what I called essential oil play shops. And I started educating and giving people direct experiences with the oils. And I just kept receiving feedback. And eventually people were wanting to purchase oils. And so my collection started growing, and I started experimenting more and more, and the right mentors came into my life, and here we are talking today.
That's super cool. Now, for our listeners who might not be familiar with using essential oils, can you kind of explain to them what an essential oil actually is, like, and then we'll kind of go, what are the different ways you can use it? Because you talked about, vaping it, for example. If you're like, what, you can vape oil, and then the next thing maybe we'll go to is how do you determine a high quality oil versus a low quality oil? I think we'll start with these kind of basics right now, so you can kind of kick it off.
So a number of questions. I think the first one I'll dive into is what are essential oils? So essential oils are concentrated plant essences that, when found in nature, they're found in minute concentrations in plants. Many plants will contain less than a single percentage point of an essential oil per weight, and many of them are far, far less than that. And in nature, plants produce these essential oils to support them with different functions. So they can be immune modulating, they can attract different pollinators, or they can repel different pests. They may be very attractive and alluring by their scent to persuade people to cultivate that plant. And so over millions of years, plants have developed all these specific innate expressions. And so the essential oil is these concentrated plant essences that are used by the plant for specific functions and are very, very powerful. One drop of pure essential oil is really very potent, concentrated, and much more than what the body needs in order to effectively process and receive therapeutic function. So essential oils are not always actually oily in nature, but they are referenced as essential oils. And oftentimes they are volatile and will evaporate at room-like temperatures. There's many different constituents that are found inside essential oils, and the majority of time they have different therapeutic functions. So they can promote relaxation or help to modulate stress, or they can aid with cuts or burns. They can stimulate the immune system, the white blood cells inside of the body, or they can have a direct effect on reducing microbe count. And so the effects and the potential of different essential oils may actually seem really overwhelming in terms of their potential to someone that's diving into essential oils at first. And so I guess maybe what I can do is I could talk a little bit about different ways to use the oils, as you had suggested.
Please.
So, there's so many different ways to use essential oils. And, a general rule of thumb in working with oils is less is more. So, essential oils are pharmacologically active at extremely low concentrations. So, in considering their use, there's a multitude of purposes that can be used in, for instance, you can use lavender or peppermint, and you can dilute them at less than 1% in some good purified water, and you can spray them on your plants to help repel some different pests. A person can also do a similar concept and prepare a mister bottle and use it to kind of freshen up a room or reduce microbe count depending upon what they're applying into it. Essential oils are amazing for the bathtub. Oftentimes you'll just want maybe about 1 to 5 drops inside of a warm bathtub. And, there's definitely going to be essential oils that are not desired to be put on the skin because of their irritating properties. And examples of that would be oregano or cinnamon bark or red thyme. You can massage the essential oils into the bottom of the feet. So what's interesting is that essential oils, they have these active, very small constituents that are able to pass through the pores in the bottom of the feet. And when a person massages an essential oil onto the bottom of their feet, it will enter the bloodstream in about 5 to 15 minutes.
Wow.
If people wanted to experiment with that, you can actually, you can take like our organic CO2 extracted garlic, for instance, and massage it into the bottom of your feet. And in about 10 to 20 minutes, you might actually taste the garlic in your mouth. So, there's definitely a multitude. Most people will use them topically or inhale them for direct aromatherapy. I've kind of alluded to the idea of using them in a vaporizer, which I use on occasion with specific intention. I don't think vaporizing essential oils on the daily is, that's not what I would suggest, but I think it can be very powerful for specific therapeutic purposes, or just for social applications for people who are into smoking or vaporizing. It can be another option that is at least organic and from nature.
Can you explain to people what a vaporizer is in case they don't know? Because I think that's important, because I think it's kind of a new area, but a lot of people think of, oh, there's the vaping that's causing so much problems with lung things with these, what these kids are vaporing cigarettes, or, but what are you talking about, how to vaporize?
Absolutely. So, there's a really old school device that we have, and it's like a food grade aluminum that connects with a piece of glass, and the glass is the only thing that actually touches the oil. And you manually heat the oil, and the goal is to heat it at a very low temperature. In fact, you don't actually have to heat the oil, but you'll get a much more pronounced, profound inhalation experience and get more of it into your lungs and into your body. But the goal is to breathe it directly into the lungs. And so, when I had my pneumonia infection, the site of infection was in my lungs. And so right after my coughing bout, and I saw my essential oil vaporizer, that's when it hit me that I would actually be getting the site of infection directly by breathing it in directly to my lungs. And so when a person inhales the essential oils, they're breathing in these aromatic molecules, and in the lungs, in the alveoli in the lungs, they're going to exchange in the blood immediately. And so it's a very quick and effective way of getting lots of the pharmacological activity to get spread systemically in the body. So, many...
So just a quick, were you using like a volcano kind of setup? Is that what were you using, or you have something else?
I can actually grab one very quickly if you'd like.
Oh yeah, please show it. That'd be great if people can see it.
Yeah.
So while Dr. Nick is going to go get one of these vaporizers so he can show us here on the podcast. Or if you've got the video, you can see it. Oh, wow. Look at that.
So it's a very simple device, and
wow.
You put the essential oil in here, and what you would do is you would manually heat it, or you could just breathe it in without any heat. And so the goal is to heat the vial without burning the oil, because when you burn the oil, you're going to get more opportunity for carcinogenic compounds to form.
Right.
And, so, this is a device that a person can just just deeply inhale into their lungs. And again, it's something that should be used conscientiously. This is a tool in my tool chest out of hundreds of botanical extracts and different applications. What I want to say that I feel is really important is lots of the vaporizer devices that are available on the market have all types of very interesting, weird synthetic additives.
Right.
Everything from vegetable glycerin, propylene glycol, other things that I guess I'm intelligent enough to pronounce, but you know, I would never see on an organic food shelf.
Right.
And what I'm doing here with this device is I'm taking a drop of an organic or wild crafted essential oil or CO2 extract and heating it up and breathing it in. And I'm doing it with intent. And so lots of the vaporizer devices that are rampant on the market have all types of synthetic flavors. You know, the body may not recognize what it is, and it's a toxin, and it won't offer therapeutic benefit, and it might trick the taste buds into, you know, oh, this tastes like fruity pebbles, or
right. But it's a chemical agent. It's not the real deal, and that's where people are running into complications. Or like you said, some of those. I always say, if you can't pronounce it, it probably shouldn't be going in your body.
Absolutely, yeah. And, you know, and I think being mindful with it as well, because if I were to inhale from this vaporizer 10 to 20 times, which I've definitely done many times in my life, I'll start feeling a little bit of increased mucus in my lungs. And so I think there's a conscientious way to use these tools, and then there's also a way to abuse these tools. And then we come into a question of harm reduction about is combusting plant material and smoking, 20 cigarettes every day, is that going to be better or worse for someone than vaporizing an oil concentrate of nicotine or a different plant extract? And so I'm doing my best to present as much information and possibility for people to do their own research and listen to their own hearts and bodies. And
that's great. And I think we'll talk about this after, but I think you also have a club where you kind of explain the nuances of all these things, where people can ask questions and really get down to this. Because again, a little bit of information can be dangerous.
Yeah.
And you want to, have someone like you that can actually walk a person through the ins and outs of using these in an effective way and in a safe way, and in a way that optimizes the benefit and minimizes any potential harm or any risk or things like that. So if you're listening to this and you're excited about it, we'll forward it in a few minutes here. We're going to jump on Dr. Nick's site, and he can tell you how you can find out more about that. That's great. Appreciate the kind of the background and the history.
Thanks, Wade.
Yeah. So talk to me about, now you've got this thing called ultrasonic blends. And I'm, when I see that, I'm like, ultrasonic, that sounds super cool. What is ultrasonic blends?
Yeah. So, what we're doing is we're doing our own in-house extractions using ultrasonic technology. So we're actually sonicating the plant material in a solvent, and we're just using water as the solvent. So we're producing very clean, full spectrum extracts. And what the ultrasonic does is it vibrates at an extremely high frequency, the water and the plant material. And what it does is it actually breaks down the cell walls of the plant material, and it spills out the essential oils and the different plant alkaloids that are found inside the plant material. And through vacuum filtration, we're able to remove the plant material, and we have this concentrated liquid. We take that concentrated liquid, and we, using vacuum distillation, we're able to use very low temperatures to remove the hydrosol from the plant material, and we're left with a concentrated ultrasonic extract. And so
What's the hydrosol anyways? What is that?
yeah, so a hydrosol is it's a byproduct of essential oil production. So, you know, the typical extractions of, and maybe I'll touch on this for a brief moment of
Please.
how an essential oil is produced, because I think that's very relevant for people to know. So the most common way that essential oils are produced is going to be through a steam distillation process. So you'll take a amount of plant material and you'll put it into a collection, and you'll heat water underneath the collecting area, and the steam vapor will pass through the plant material, and it's a closed system. And so as the steam passes through the plant material, it collects lots of the volatile oils, and it then is run through a condenser into a collection area. And so there's cold area on the outside of the distillation device, and as the steam passes through, it loses energy, and it slows from a steam to a liquid. And in that phase, the liquid and the oil separate. So you'll have your essential oil, which is the oil phase, and you'll have your water, which is known as the hydrosol. So the hydrosol is a byproduct of essential oil production.
Got it. Okay, great.
Yeah. And
Thank
so,
you.
oh yeah, you're so welcome. There's some other popular essential oil extraction techniques. There's a CO2 extract, which produces a pretty full spectrum, powerful extract. I've seen CO2 extract companies say that they can be about 2 to 3 times more potent therapeutically than traditional steam distilled essential oils. There are solvent absolutes, and so those are solvent extracted, and it can be anything from ethanol extract to acetone or hexane. And so absolutes are not typically the premium choice for therapeutic purposes, but can produce very beautiful full spectrum aromatic extracts. And so we're now talking about this novel extract method that we're working with, which is utilizing ultrasonic technology and water, by putting the plant material in the water and sonicating, we're able to remove the active constituents very quickly, and we're able to remove the water using vacuum filtration and vacuum distillation. So we remove the water with that vacuum distillation part, and we're left with a concentrated ultrasonic extract. And so by using very low temperatures on an esoteric kind of perspective, it feels like the innate plant intelligence is really kept intact because we're never heating the water above, in our processes, we're using about 40 to 42 degrees centigrade. And so when we produce our ultrasonic extracts, we have very concentrated, highly bioavailable plant extracts that really have a unique and potent vibration to them. So we then take that concentrated ultrasonic extract, and what we've been doing is we've been infusing it into different types of organic spirits. Many of our tinctures use organic honey spirits, so a high proof that's distilled from honey mead, and then we're producing tinctures for our end users to really get to know what a plant is capable of medicinally.
Wow, that's super cool. Thank you for that thorough explanation. I think a lot of people have no idea where things come from and how they work, and I always like to know those things. I think it just makes it a little bit more real. One of the questions that I was thinking about for people who might not have experienced essential oils, I think that would come up is where do you think that as a getting started, maybe you were at the massage clinic and there was a nice essential oil, or maybe your friend had a diffuser or something. What are the typical oils that people would get started that maybe have the most kind of universally applicable things that you've seen in your experience, and what they would start with before they kind of graduated into the more sophisticated or specific or esoterical or all these different types of blends?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I'll answer it twofold. I'll say that over the years, I've formulated blends with very targeted, intentional purposes. And I'm also hearing the question about what types of pure essential oils might people get most familiar with first. And so I would say really popular essential oils on the market would be oils like lavender or lemon, peppermint, or frankincense, tea tree. So, all of these different oils have very unique qualities to them. Peppermint, you can dilute the peppermint oil and you can massage it onto the outside of your stomach if you have a belly ache, and or you can take a deep inhalation in, which has been really helpful for me during times when I've been traveling and I get an upset stomach, or maybe I eat something that triggers food poisoning. Peppermint also can be applied to the back of the neck during a really hot day, and it can actually help to cool the core temperature. That's a really nice little tip that I learned while I was traveling in South America. Lavender can be an exceptional ally to keep in your little personal medicine chest, because lavender is great for bug bites, burns, inflammation. It can reduce stress for people. So you can apply lavender on topically on a cut or a burn or a bug bite. You can massage it into the bottom of the feet or take deep inhalations in if you're looking to reduce stress levels, or right before you go to bed. And these essential oils, they work very intelligently because they're designed by nature. And what I mean to say about that is essential oils and lots of different essential oil blends. I think many people are used to things having a very specific targeted effect. So, something will make 98% of people relaxed or fall asleep, and with a general trend. Now, in nature, what nature does is it likes to bring balance. And so you can actually have the experience with different essential oils of relaxing the nervous system, but having a heightened sense of awareness. So a deeper level of clarity within the mind. So you might actually reduce stress in the body, but you might have an increased level of cognition. And so like an example of that would be if you were to work with some Tulsi tincture. I have an ultrasonic Tulsi tincture that's really good for relaxing stress in the physical body, calming the mind, but also enhancing focus and concentration. And so it's a great formula for meditation or reducing stress.
The Bioptimizer mission is to help more of the world fix their digestion at a core level. The truth is, your digestion is only as good as your enzyme levels. Imagine trying to build a house with a tree. It's impossible. You need to chop the tree down into small pieces. Similarly, in order for your food to be used by your body, it must be broken down into a bioavailable form. And that's what enzymes do, converting protein into amino acids, fats into specific fatty acids, and carbohydrates into usable energy units. We start out with an abundance of enzymes, and that's why kids can digest just about anything really quickly. The thing is cooking food kills enzymes, as they cannot survive at temperatures above 118 degrees. So years of this ends up depleting our bodies and leads to weak digestion. Taking digestive enzymes like masszymes, which has an incredibly high level of protease for digesting protein, as well as other critical enzymes like lipase, amylase, and others, is a total game changer. Suddenly, you strengthen your digestion, eliminate gas and bloating, boost metabolism, and multiply your energy. Most importantly, you fix your digestion at a core level. To get started with Masszymes and to save 10% on your first order, go to masszymes.com. That's MASSZYMES.com and use the code MASS10, MASS10.
That's great. You talk about the intelligence of plants. I was actually reflecting on this a couple of months ago. I was sitting in doing a little meditation, just a little relaxing meditation in a park. And I was sitting under a trellis that had these lavender plants growing all over it. And I thought, wow, think how intelligent these plants are, that they've created such a pleasant fragrance that here us humans are cultivating and growing them and building a perfect place for them to grow so we can just enjoy the benefits of the scent. Or if you think of how people plant flowers in their garden or put specific trees around or things where you'd gather these. And it's like, here's these plants that have been around far longer than humans, and they've created ways to create mobility for themselves without having to walking or take a car or, the stuff. And I think it just struck me, and you kind of tipped your hand on that a little bit earlier. And I thought I would just mention that, like how potent these are. So those are some great tips on some of the things. Now, maybe we can let's talk a little bit about some of the esoteric blends, because I know you get down there, and we have myself, I'm a meditator, and I'm certainly have been studying kind of the more spiritual pursuits, or as some of us would say, the non-linear domains that's outside the realms of science and causality and all that sort of stuff. So can you talk a little bit about some of the more esoteric blends that you put together and how you came about that?
Yeah. I guess one of them that I have here is our third eye formulation. And third eye is it's a powerful blend of different essential oils, including Royal Hawaiian sandalwood, jasmine grandiflorum. It has tulsi, rosemary cineole, cacao absolute, and CO2 extracted frankincense. And I mentioned third eye. You brought up Paul. This is actually one of his favorite formulas that I have. What he says is it really deepens his meditation quality. It helps to open up his third eye and open him up to clairvoyant vision. What I find for myself is it kind of slows the energy down, and it enhances my focus and my clarity. And so what I like to do is I'll actually massage it on the third eye and kind of rotate outwards in a clockwise fashion. Take a few deep inhalations in, and the aromatic quality of this is, it's really the frequency of magic for me. It's just really life-provoking, and it opens up my lungs, and it calms my nervous system, and it stills my mind. And sometimes when I close my eyes and I go through this process, I'll actually see colors with my closed eyes. And so it really enhances me, and it opens me up into a deeper level of receptivity to meditation. We definitely have quite a number of different essential oil tinctures. And one thing that I think is worth mentioning is there's so much talk for and against orally ingesting essential oils. And so I like everyone to really consider what they're putting into their body and being very intentional with that. And so like for instance, an ultrasonic extract tincture is it's a very small concentration of essential oil. It has lots of different lipids and waxes and other plant alkaloids besides just the aromatic terpenes. And it's a more full spectrum extract, and it contains a very small amount of the essential oil. When we're when I look at the question about ingesting, I think that it can be a very powerful way of working with essential oils, but then it also brings up another question, which is the question why, and for how long, and for what purpose. And so what I've done in my company is I've formulated different essential oil tinctures, which reduce the concentration of the essential oils that a person would be ingesting per drop. It also makes utilizing single drops more easy to administer. And it also puts it into an alcohol, which makes the essential oil more absorbable into the body. And so, like a single drop of pure essential oil in most of the traditional orifice reducers is usually about 35 to 45 milligrams. But in a 15 mil dropper, you get about 25 milligrams. And if you're using about 10% of that, you're getting about 2 to 2.5 milligrams versus a 35 to 45 drops. And that's assuming you just get one drop of essential oil when you're dropping it in your mouth upside down, because many people will accidentally drop 2 or 3. And so, the question is, if you're choosing to ingest, why are you choosing to ingest something? And so what I've done is I've realized at different areas and times in my life that there's been really specific purposes, like when I have a stomach upset, or I'm wanting to drop deep within meditation, or I'm experiencing a cold or a flu come on and I want to stimulate my immune system. So I have these tincture formulations that are ready and accessible, but I don't think that it's wise to ingest pure essential oils every day. So I just want to kind of bring the thought process forward for the listeners, because I think it's important to have a connection with your own body to realize what is best for you. So kind of finishing up on other considerations on the more esoteric side, we have different tinctures and also essential oil blends for different purposes. So examples of this would be like our cosmic orgasm tincture. And that was actually one of the first essential oil tinctures that I produced, which is a combination of Royal Hawaiian sandalwood, Moroccan cedar, and Israeli blood orange infused in organic sugarcane alcohol. And by putting a single drop on the tongue, taking a deep inhalation in and breathing it in through the lungs, what I find is that not only is the flavor profile just absolutely astonishing, which is where the name Cosmic Orgasm came from, but after a few minutes, the flavor profile keeps changing and the mind gets really quiet and there's a deep level of focus. It's very inviting to go inward into the body and brings upon a deep level of inner peace. Other blends that, I could talk about some esoteric formulations that have been really helpful for people just living in this modern age. I have a ceremonial set of essential oil blends, and the 3 initial ones were formulated with the intention of supporting people during plant medicine ceremonies. And the set of those is called Purity, Psychic Protection, and Positive Transmission. And purity is about cleansing the environment. And so it's a combination of CO2 extracted myrrh, Palo Santo, and white sage. And so what I do with purity, and this can be so applicable in office types environments or yoga studios, is I'll take a few drops into my hands, and I can give you a little example for those of you who are tuning in with video. And so I put some oils into my hands, and I'll walk around a room or an environment, and I'll snap. And I call this process dynamic diffusion because these aromatic molecules are going to disperse into the environment. And the aroma is going to, it's both going to cleanse the environment on an energetic level, and it's also going to provide a very soothing and uplifting type of environment, aromatically speaking. And so purity is designed with the intention of cleansing a space. Psychic protection, I believe, is probably our most widely relevant ceremonial blend. I've had everything from CEOs, Hollywood celebrities, people that are working at day jobs, all types of individuals, medicine carriers, work with psychic protection, and it's a pretty, it's got a very unique vibration, and it's very helpful in all different types of applications. So psychic protection is really about cleansing the personal field, cleansing the personal aura, and removing negativity. And, living in this modern day age with so many stressors, there's lots of opportunities for stress or anger or conflict to arise. And what psychic protection does is it literally just cuts through the negative energy and the static in a moment, and it's like an energetic reset button for people. And that formula is a combination of myrrh, cistus, galbanum, spikenard, vetiver, calamus root, angelica root, cypress leaf, and cardamom. And so, after you cleanse the environment and you cleanse the personal field, you can attract more positive energy into your experience. And so that's where the third ceremonial blend, positive transmission, comes in, where, that's applied around the auric field and around the body, round and on the body. And it's a combination of different sacred herbs, resins, and plants. African copal bark, cedar, elemi, frankincense, myrrh, tulsi, and white sage. And that really helps to clear the environment, clear my personal field, and attract more new and fresh.
It's really cool. And for those of you out there who are listening and saying, well, that sounds pretty wild. I mean, I don't know if that stuff really working. I'll give you an example. We were testing essential lavender oil with my business partner and looking at alpha readings. Alpha is a brain state usually associated with more meditative states, in regular consciousness. Beta, and on his test, we would take just a drop of lavender oil, and we'd rub it on our hands, smell it, put a little bit here on our third eye, and we'd see a 30 to 40% boost in alpha almost instantly. So there is validity to what you're saying that can actually be proven in shifts in brain state. And of course, if you want to go the other way, if you look at a lot of the big gambling casinos and high-end retail shops, they'll put very specific smells and scents inside that room to create and evoke certain feelings and senses inside of people. And I think as we live in a more, shall we say, industrialized world where we don't have exposure like we would if we lived in a more forest setting to all these things, these elements become even more pronounced in their ability to alter states of awareness and states of physiological states or stress or open up people. So I really appreciate that you're sharing that. And people call it esoteric, but I think it only seems esoteric now that we are living so much in an industrialized world, where before, if you live out in the forest, you get all these scents and smells would put you, and that was kind of a natural state for humanity, which is not so natural anymore.
Right. I really value that reflection. And I can even add to that. So, there was a study that confirmed that Palo Santo smoke can actually cleanse an area, and what it was describing was that there's something in the Palo Santo smoke. Palo Santo is a wood. It actually means sacred wood, and when you light the Palo Santo stick, it will release a smoke. And what science found is that the smoke from the Palo Santo actually binds to free radicals in the air. And so, it's just a matter of time before science really catches up with all of this ancient knowledge that has been used by humanity for millennia, where everything can be agreed upon from both directions. So I think that's really cool that you looked at alpha waves with lavender. I've worked with a neuroscientist before and have experimented with the effects of different essential oils, actually vaporizing them. And, we noticed that certain essential oils really, really impact delta or theta or alpha waves as well.
Oh, which ones are working on those? Because we're getting ready to go for another round of neurofeedback training in February. We're going up to Dave's place at 40 Years of Zen.
Cool.
So what do you have in regards to those oils?
Play with Tulsi. It's really interesting. I'll send you a bottle.
And which brainwaves does that evoke typically?
This was about 7 years that we looked, 7 years ago that we looked at this. And if my memory serves, I believe it was interesting in that it stimulated both theta, delta, and some alpha.
Wow, that's the kind of magic combo then. If you can get all three going. That's great.
Yeah, it really is. And so from a physiological perspective, it feels like calm, relaxed state, deeper level of focus and awareness, and also an ease dropping into meditative mindset. And so it's really interesting how science is able to support and validify what you can experience from these different plant teachers.
I think it's really important for people to understand is that, science is relatively a relatively new language for describing the world in a new pattern. And many of these more ancient or traditional pathways that have been practiced in the various cultures around the world had their own way of observing and describing the world, which was every bit as effective and clear as what science does today. What science calls a free radical, maybe a shaman would call bad spirits, or what someone might say is inducing alpha waves today would be, hey, I just feel more relaxed and calm in regular terms. So I think it's really important to recognize that all of these methodologies are just different forms of languages, but ultimately your own body and your own observations is, in my opinion, the greatest supercomputer on the world. Is like, well, experiment with these oils, see how you feel, see what is the effect, see what the effect of the people in the room, what are they feeling, what are they noticing, and what's going on. And you become, I think, more in tune with the power that these elements can provide for us. And it becomes kind of a fun endeavor. Just because we're adults doesn't mean we can't play and have fun with these type of things. And I think that's something that's often lost in this science-driven, prove it to me, I want to see a double-blind study by, and published in a peer-reviewed journal and stuff. And that's coming, as you alluded to, but you don't need all that stuff to kind of experiment with stuff and see how you feel. I mean, and it's pretty quick and it's pretty responsive. And I can tell you, having used your oils, they're truly exceptional, and they do change your personal state relatively quick. Like it's instantaneous, which I think is really fascinating.
Thanks, Wade. Yeah. There's lots of different tools and techniques that we play around with to amplify the potency of our products. Everything from using different types of charging plates to putting our oils in a set of 432 Hertz crystal bowls and tuning them to different notes. And there's really a aliveness to the vitality of the products that we're producing in-house. And it's so great to hear that your first experience with our oils, as you were describing, you're able to feel it. You're able to experience the state change because there's a lot of intention going into each of our products.
Yeah, one of the things that I was been fortunate way back in the day, coming from a bodybuilding background and that sort of thing, is that we had to learn how to get really in tune with our own physicality. And both my co-founder of my company, Bioptimizers, Matt, and I, we both really will try things, and we can sensory feel things, and they're like, oh wow, I can feel this happening in this part of my body. I can have this sense, right? Now that we've done so much brain neurofeedback training, we can feel our brains switch into different states, and then we can go dive in and get the proven data after. But those changes that happen, and just being aware and observing them will indicate, their effectiveness. So let's, we're coming up, I guess, a little bit over the hour, but that's okay. I'm having so much fun. Mm-hmm. Tell me about your tribe and where people can get some of these oils, or they can, to start playing with them. Cause I think there's going to be a lot of people that are going to say, hey, I want to get some of these right now. How do I do this? And then you can talk about your tribe as well that you have created about, kind of disseminating this information in an effective and safe way so that people can, play safe, if you will, when they're using these extremely potent products that you've developed.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I guess starting on the point of, lots of information is available to the general public at our website, essentialoilwizardry.com. You can find us on all major social media platforms with Essential Oil Wizardry as well. You're sharing about our alchemy tribe. And so within the past few years, we've really ramped up our monthly club, and we have a few different options. And so we have an option for our tribe members to receive a monthly package every month, and that package can range from anything from 1 to 4 different products, as we have 3 different tiers. So people can get one of our Wizard Alchemy blends, or an essential oil tincture, a pure essential oil or CO2 extract, and also a exquisite botanical perfume. So there's 3 different options for our Alchemy Tribe members to receive packages monthly. All of the subscriptions will have different discounts. We're going to be starting to do live Q&As in 2020, which I'm really excited about. They'll have access to reaching out to me personally via email. And it's just a real way that we can provide increased level of care and information in a more coherent way. We also do some small scale extracts that are only available to our Alchemy Tribe members, which has been really fun. We've done some really interesting novel plants, including Salvia divinorum and rose extract and lion's mane. And we always allow our Alchemy Tribe members to experience our products first. And in the many cases where we are just doing very small batches, we open it up to our Alchemy Tribe first. And for people who are just really passionate about plants, they want to learn more, they want to experience our members only section, they want to see more of the content that we're developing behind the scenes, but don't want a monthly package chosen for them. We also offer a yearly subscription that comes with all the same perks without the monthly packages. And so, it's really been a very amazing opportunity for me to grow and to challenge me to continue to create new products, new ultrasonic extracts that we're releasing to our members, and keep things on the novel and growth perspective, and to really drop in and connect with our community on a deeper level. So it's really been a very special two-way engagement portal for us.
Super great. And by the way, we'll drop all the show links into the show notes so that people, if they forgot that, what your websites are and all that sort of stuff for social media, I guess they could just look up Dr. Nick Berry or Essential Oil Wizardry, and they'll find you one way through the ether waves, I guess it is.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's really cool. Any final passing thoughts before we wrap it up?
I'm really open to offering your listeners a 10% off opportunity. And would you love to say Lightheart as the coupon code?
That'll be great.
Great. So remind me, and I will activate that on our website. I guess my heart just wants to thank you, Wade, for this invitation to connect today, and for all the work that you're doing, and supporting people with their digestion and with their growth. And we're all playing our part to maximize this human experience. And I want to thank our listeners for their time of listening to my perspective and my experience, and integrating this plant wisdom. And I really hope that I have the opportunity to share our botanical extracts and my passion with your listeners. So thank you all for listening.
Dr. Nick, you're such a wizard and such a kind and compassionate person. Really appreciate you offering the discount to everybody. That's Essential Oil Wizardry. You use the code Lightheart. It's all in the show notes. And I just want to thank you for joining us today and sharing your wisdom. And by the way, these products are incredible. I'm excited to dive in and get more of them since my first initial experience. And I've been using essential oil products for a long time, and I've always liked them, but you are truly creating something very special, very powerful, very unique. And what a great way for our listeners to go in and go right to the top shelf right off the bat. So thank you for taking the time to join us today. Keep, crafting your wizardry, and hopefully we'll connect up real soon at one of the events that are around the world that we're generally in the same vicinity as.
Yeah, it sounds so great, Wade. Thank you so much, man. I had a great time.
Thank you.
And now for a Bioptimizers fixed digestion tip: how to get away with eating sugar. Hey, look, sugar is normally one of the worst things for you. But let's be honest. I mean, we all cheat from time to time. And here's a little trick that will ensure your body benefits from the sugar. Now, before you eat or drink anything sweet, take 5 to 8 capsules of P3OM. The patented strain in the formula devours sugar so fast it literally doubles in the body every 20 minutes in the presence of sugar. That doesn't mean that you can or you should eat a bunch of sugar or sit around all day doing that. But on the days that you do cheat, or you go after one of those maybe meals that you wouldn't normally do, this ensures that you get something in your gut that eats the sugar. And it's not going to feed the bad guys or spike your blood glucose nearly as much. So to learn more about P3OM and its sugar-devouring and protein-digesting properties and how it can transform your gut and metabolism, go to www.bioptimizers.com.
Thank you for listening to the Bioptimizers Awesome Health Podcast. You can find more information at bioptimizers.com.